The 7 things you should be talking about today. Number 7.
The director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who we were told was an unacceptable choice by almost everyone in elite establishment Washington, is hitting the ground running because she revealed on Fox News yesterday that she has directed the firing and security clearance revocation of over 100 intelligence officers who were engaged in a brazen, on-the-clock, sexually explicit conversation on NSA chat rooms. This scandal was, of course, unearthed by Christopher Rufo and leaked to the public. She said this is unfit for the people doing this are unfit for mission-critical work. DNI spokesperson Alexa Hitting detailed the memo sent to all intelligence agencies targeting obscene pornographic discussions at the NSA. So she is making a big move right away.
Number 6.
Elon Musk, the administrator of the Department of Government Efficiencies, DOGE, is touting over $512 million in savings inside the state of Alabama from reworking the way 6 federal offices operate. This includes moving the National Labor Relations Board in Birmingham to a federal space, closing the Social Security Administration branches in Anniston, Coleman, and Gadsden. This is all part of a $55 billion plan nationally to deal with the Social Security stuff. U.S. Representative Terry Sewell, of course, disputes the impact, saying, "What, we were fine up until the other day. Now everything is chaos." Saying that a bunch of people had been fired in her district. She didn't understand what was actually going on. There's a lot of questions being raised about these closings, and the fight goes on.
Number 5.
U.S. representatives on the House Subcommittee of Space and Aeronautics are having a conversation about what the future of NASA's Artemis program looks like. There are deep ties to Marshall Space Flight Center in North Alabama. It's also seen as something that is vital for national security. And of course, there are economic benefits as well. There's a lot of talk about resisting Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. And again, we're hearing a lot about this. Witnesses, including a former NASA executive and a guy who is with the Space Policy Institute, urged a Moon First strategy over Musk's Mars First focus. And there's a lot of questions about what's going to go on. This was a pretty contentious hearing, allegedly, and there's a lot of arguing going on as to what the role of NASA is going to be. So that hasn't been hammered out yet.
Number 4.
Self-defeating immigration advocates objected to Alabama's proposed immigration legislation, including bills that seek to register labor brokers and immigrants to prevent extortion, with Executive Director Allison Hamilton of the Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice warning that it is a privacy-jeopardizing move misrepresented as worker protection. But in reality, that particular item goes after these fly-by-night agencies that hire illegal immigrants and then basically rent them out to employers, giving those employers 6 degrees of separation so they're not held accountable. They want to remove that. There are a bunch of other bills out there as well. Bills invalidating out-of-state driver's licenses, calls for harsher sentencing, calls for people to be given a wire transfer taxes for sending money back to Mexico, all sorts of stuff.
Number 3.
At a press conference in the old House chamber down there in Montgomery, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency Secretary Hal Taylor was joined by Attorney General Steve Marshall and Montgomery County Sheriff Derek Cunningham to showcase how the metro area crime suppression unit's 94-day attempt to get things under control in Montgomery is working. They noted they had 2,300 traffic stops, 674 warrants served, 103 Glock switches seized. They said there's an 18.6% homicide drop and ongoing crime declines in Montgomery. They praised the unit in doing away with carjacking and other issues, solving violent crimes, all this stuff. Now, why is this not happening in Birmingham yet? I have absolutely no idea, but hopefully we'll see more of this effort.
Number 2.
Hey, look, we're back to Elon Musk. What a surprise. Elon Musk, chair of the Department of Government Efficiencies. Have you heard this? Explained during President Donald Trump's first cabinet meeting that a widely debated email to federal workers was basically a pulse check to confirm their existence. Suspecting some of the 1 million responders reported by the White House, the non-responders, represent non-fictional, this would actually mean fictional individuals, or deceased people, positioning Doge as tech support in fixing outdated government systems. Musk underscored his goal to avert a national bankruptcy by targeting $1 trillion to be cut from a $7 trillion budget. He says a daily $4 billion savings pace, he says, is critical as debt interest outstrips defense spending.
And now time for the number 1 thing you should be talking about today.
All right, this is really, really troubling to me. I don't know why they keep doing this, but we're going to talk about it. The media is filled with unrepentant and phony liars. We've talked about this so much that I feel like I'm talking until I'm hoarse or blue in the face. I already sound hoarse, so maybe I'm blue in the face as well. The media is so phony that there are now people who are suggesting that they're about to blow the lid off the scandal that Joe Biden may not have been fit to be president of the United States. So we'll move their awesome reporting skills to the side here. Now we have members of the media openly lying about President Donald Trump and his plan moving forward. They're claiming that there was a bill passed that would cut Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid in the new budget. Despite, when asked at this meeting yesterday, they were asked, here's the question. I'm going to read you the question, and I'm going to give you their answer. So remember, the headlines and the narrative is Trump is going to cut your Social Security, Trump is going to cut your Medicaid, Trump is going to cut your Medicare. Here was the question asked yesterday. Quote, can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security will not be touched? End quote. That's the question. Here is the response. This is not my interpretation. This is not based on evidence of conversations off the record. This is the exact quote Donald Trump gave them. Quote, I've said it so many times, you shouldn't even be asking that question. We're going to look at fraud. So I'm not going to cut those things. We're going to look at fraud. I've said it so many times. The question was, can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched? Trump, I've said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking that question. We're going to look at fraud. Now, regardless of that statement, and other Republicans saying the exact same thing, it's all but being ignored. Well, the accusations are given new life every single day, despite the fact that the budget resolution that was passed by the House the other day did not include cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. And on top of that, under the current system which they are using, cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security are not even allowed. So they're lying. That's the moral of the story here. And I wanted to point that out here. That's the number 1 thing you should be talking about today. The fact that there is a misleading argument being made by our friends in the media, and we should call it out. We got a lot to get into. We will continue talking about it right here, right now on The Dale Jackson Show. So keep it locked and get your questions in for 10 with him by texting in right now, 205-545-9950. That's 205-545-9950. Pick up the phone, text or talk right there, 205-545-9950. Keep it locked right here. It is the fastest hour of radio anywhere on your radio dial.
You're listening to News and Views with Dale Jackson